George Swantek is a Vietnam veteran who served in the 101st Airborne. Drafted and served with honor, he reflects on his time in Vietnam.
Airborne, baby. I want to thank you all. My name is George Swantek. I grew up in Elmont. I graduated from Swantek High School in 1966. Upon completing that, I got a job at Toll of a Watch in Valley Stream, which is now a Home Depot. Okay, and what we did there, we didn't make watches. We made munitions. We made artillery and mortar fuses. Lo and behold, a few years later, I get a letter from Nixon, and now I'm actually seeing these products that I had something to do with. So what I did in Vietnam is I walked around the jungle with a bunch of great guys. And our job was, as an infantryman, was to hunt out the enemy and put a whooping on them every chance we got. And I got to say, I was proud to serve with the 101st Airborne, and if I had to do it again, I would. And thank you.
Thank you, George. Supervisor Saladino's family has a long and proud history of serving in the military. His grandmother was one of the first women in the nation to be enlisted in the Navy. It's a point of pride for the supervisor as well as it should be. Please welcome Oyster Bay Town Supervisor, a good friend of the Museum of American Armor, Town Supervisor Joe Saladino.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity to join with all of you, true American heroes. We thank you, all those here at the Museum of American Armor, including Mr. Kadish. I hope he's doing well. It's so good to see you, Michael Sapricone. It's wonderful to join with Gary Louie. You dressed up very nicely. Wonderful tie, Gary.
I stole it from King.
Wouldn't be the first. And in terms of Peter King, talk about an American hero, someone I've looked up to throughout my entire career, and someone who continues to teach us what it means to be a true American and to represent this country and its residents. It's a pleasure to join with our County Executive Curran, who is also a big supporter of this incredible facility, and you, Bishop Goldson. Thank you. Nice to meet you, sir. And a longtime buddy from Massapequa, our President, Steve Bonham, and of course, all of you, our veterans, our American heroes. We'll never forget those who fought for this nation and made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom and democracy. I was thinking about, as some of the speakers spoke earlier, look around the room. Look at the armament here. There are many nations where people take power using the equipment you see around us, of course inferior to American equipment, as opposed to here in our nation, when we use an honest political process to gain power and to perform leadership in this nation. But all of that happens because of the sacrifice of our veterans. Peter, Laura, myself, my colleagues on the town board, all elected officials serve because of your service. You give us the right and the ability to perform government service in this great nation. So it is most appropriate, the backdrop of the museum's veteran-era vehicles, Vietnam-era vehicles, as we gather to reflect on the crucial Vietnam War anniversary and the end of the deadly Tet Offensive. Many men and women have rendered great service to the United States. You heard of my family, my grandmother Jessie, who was the first woman in the New York metropolitan area to be inducted into the United States Navy, and I am so incredibly proud of her. My grandfathers who served, and my father who served in the Korean era as a Marine, as an attorney in the Marines. At that point, for the first time, the United States was opening up their forces and bringing together people of all walks of life. And he served with a man of color both attorneys in the CID in the Marines. And Dad would use his colorful expressions that he traded knuckle sandwiches with many other Marines who took offense to his sharing a tent with a man of color. And what he said to them and what he said to us every time we got a letter or a Christmas card, he reminded them that he's smarter than me and the rest of you yokels put together. And that man proved just how smart and talented he was. That American veteran went on to become the United States ambassador to South Africa, where he ended apartheid without bloodshed or civil war. Then, after working on this mission, successful mission for President Reagan, President Bush named Ambassador Edward Perkins the United States ambassador to the United Nations. He was Jeane Kirkpatrick's predecessor. We all remember Jeane Kirkpatrick's name, but why don't we remember Ambassador Edward Perkins' name? It's Black History Month. The media should be talking about Ambassador Edward Perkins every chance they get. One of the greatest Americans to serve in the Foreign Service. So as I look out at each and every one of you, I'm reminded, while some on the face of this earth, even in this nation, may not always recognize your sacrifice and all you've done to ensure our safety and our freedom. We in the town of Oyster Bay, where we all are gathered today, will never forget. We have tremendous admiration and love for each of you, what you've done for this nation while serving, and how you continue to serve in veterans organizations, in community service, in education programs and facilities like the one we're in today. So each and every one of you, men and women, have rendered a great service to these United States. And this service has made a tremendous difference at times of war and times of peace. We need to remember each and every day, and it's our duty as citizens of this free nation to honor you on this day and each and every day. The Vietnam War was a very tough time, and as a child growing up in the 60s, we got on our bicycles and we played as if we were flying an aircraft in the Air Force. So we got out on the water and we pretended we were in the Navy. We played with small green army men. But then we heard the stories from relatives and the parents and grandparents of friends and learned just what was actually going on. We remember your sacrifice, and we always will, because you've earned our respect and our admiration. Young soldiers were set off on a mission to secure freedom not only for the United States, but for the entire world. You and all of the American veterans were dedicated to safeguarding the principles on which this nation was founded and on which it has flourished. So the Tet Offensive marked a strategic turning point in the war. The communists lost tens of thousands of soldiers in that failed attempt to take and hold centers across South Vietnam. But because of divisions, and some of them artificial, and I thank you, Congressman, for your courage in pointing that out, sometimes like we experience today when we turn on the television, we must come together as Americans. And the easiest way to do that is to think of the sacrifice of our veterans, of all conflicts, like the one my grandmother so proudly served, like the Vietnam War, which you so proudly served in. So on behalf of all of the members of the Oyster Bay Town Board, on behalf of my colleagues in government who weren't able to be here today, we thank you and we appreciate you, and we are committed to always ensuring that everyone, every American and everyone who enjoys freedom will remember your sacrifice. We thank you also for being here at this incredible facility. It really is something special. It's an honor to the county, to the town of Oyster Bay, and to our residents. We'll keep coming here. We'll keep supporting the programs here because it's one of the many ways to show support admiration and love to each of you, our veterans. So today the Armor Museum leads the way in honoring our veterans, honoring everyone who answered the nation's call during Vietnam and during our many conflicts. And we say, God bless you, God bless everyone who has served, and God bless the greatest nation to ever continue on the face of this earth, the United States of America. Thank you so much.